What do you all think? Are we ready to get started? I know we have a demo that you all want to do.
Let's start with the questions from the community to make sure we answer them.
Well, don't we want to set the stage and explain what we're talking about first?
Oh, you're right.
But then after that, straight into the community's questions.
Cut.
Hey everyone, what's going on? Welcome to the latest episode of the Genesys Cloud Community's Q&A show, the show where we answer your pressing questions in the Genesys Cloud online community. My name is Matt Lawson. I'm your online community manager, and today we have an episode that is 3 years in the making. How or why? I encourage you to watch and find out. Today we are going to be talking about the single customer view, which is a huge change for your customers' experience and your interface. The great news is in this episode, we're going to give you an overview of what the feature does, what's optional, how's it play in with your systems, answer your questions, and there's a lot to talk about. Best part, it's still in beta. And that means you still have the chance to test this functionality before it becomes included as part of your subscription. So please, if you're interested in that, go to the Beta HQ community. You can register there. And we're going to bring this up again later in the episode with more details on how you can register. But the episode's going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait to get started. So let's hop right in. Lucia and Dave, welcome to the show. Lucia, really great to see you. I know you and I talked about this on our call before this, but you and I first met actually 2 years ago at the last in-person experience conference that we had. And I asked you if you'd like to do the Q&A show. And I mean it literally when I said you ran from me. You said no, and you literally hopped off. You were like, no, not interested, and you ran. Lo and behold, things change, people change. And you came to me and you asked if we could talk about this great topic today. And I'm so glad to have you on the show. I've always thought you have the right personality for it. You're very knowledgeable and you're so active in the community. To me, it's a grand slam. So thank you for coming. And Dave, I just met you for the first time, really. So pleasure to meet you as well.
Likewise.
I'd like for the chance to everybody who's watching to get to know you. So Dave, let's start with you. Tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you do at Genesys? How long have you been with the company? All that.
Sure, yeah. So I'm Dave Gustin. I've been with Genesys, it'll be 8 years next month, formerly Interactive Intelligence. So I've been around since the beginning of the Genesys Cloud platform. I'm a senior solution architect in the pre-sales organization. So I work with all the field teams, account teams to help position and sell Genesys Cloud from a technical perspective.
Excellent. Very cool. And Lucia, I think a lot of people will actually recognize you, but I'd love to hear a little bit about who you are and what you do at Genesys as well.
I'm a senior product manager at Genesys Cloud.
Excellent. Again, thank you all so much for joining us for the show. Lucia, this topic came about because I know we want to get ahead of the release that's going to be happening. We have some upcoming changes to the UI. And today on the episode, we really wanted to share those with you. We gave you all the opportunity to send in some questions. Some came in over email through the community and even our YouTube channel. And today we want to get all those questions answered, give you a sneak peek of what's to come, and let you know how you can follow up with us after the release if you have any more questions. So what do you all think? Are we ready to get started? I know we have a demo that you all want to do.
Yep. So back in 2016, we released a feature in Genesys Cloud that allows you to capture the customer contacts and all of their interaction history. And since then, we've been increasingly improving that feature. And this is our large release around it. And there are two main goals that we're trying to do with this. At all times, trying to make sure that as a customer, you know who is reaching out to you and also what have they done. While we do that, we of course keep security and privacy at the top of mind. So we are very aware that some organizations do not want to track who the person is and what have they done. There's many cases where it would be considered potentially against the law, such as in the examples where it's minors or where it could be a hotline situation where somebody who is reaching out really needs to remain anonymous. And we kept all of these privacy and security concerns in mind as we developed the feature. And we are also aware of use cases where customers use this feature as an address book. So we also kept that in mind. And as we deliver all of the new innovations, we made sure that while we deliver the new innovation, we also do not break any of the existing use cases that customers have and how they're using Genesys Cloud today.
And I know you said actually the best way to set up this conversation is with a question that came in from the community. So I'm just going to go ahead and kick it over to our friend and contributor to the community, Emily. And Emily's question was, here are a couple of initial questions for me. Will the auto-created contact be a configurable setting? We do not use external contacts to store customer data, nor do we have any desire to at this point. Rather, our agents frequently transfer calls, so we use external contacts as a sort of phone book for frequently transferred to numbers. I have concerns about customer data mingling with that. And then you have a slide that people can see on the community and in our resource center. She specifically points to slides 12 and 14 and asks, will this auto-created contact apply only to inbound interactions? Those were the questions that Emily asked, and I understand they set up some of the demos that you guys want to do. So without further ado, I think, Dave, you're going to take it from here.
Yep, I do want to make sure to highlight that this is a scenario that several of our customers are set up for, essentially, and we have definitely accounted for that, and we made sure that none of the new functionality breaks that. There's no setting to configure whether or not the contacts are auto-created, just like there's no setting to see whether or not we capture analytics. The only way to make sure that no data gets into Genesys Cloud is to make sure that you don't set up calls or web messaging. As soon as somebody contacts you, we do start capturing data around the person, and then we do adhere to any security, privacy concerns around that data. And if you do not wish to use this feature, you are welcome to not use this feature.
Okay.
The data will simply disappear from the system after 60 days, and nothing will change.
Gotcha.
And the address book scenario will remain untouched. The context will not be surfaced in any of the transfer scenarios.
Okay.
I know that's been a concern from other customers as
Yep.
well.
Yep.
They were worried that all of a sudden 600 other contacts will show up as the agents are searching for a contact to transfer to, and that is not the case. And Dave will show us what that looks like.
That's
Cool.
right. So what Lucia is talking about here is an example. I'm going to share my screen and we'll show you a demonstration of what this looks like. So in this example, we're going to see a web messenger interaction from a new customer on a website. The idea is that we don't know who this person is. They've never engaged with us before. And they're going to be greeted with a Genesys bot flow. So this is our native natural language understanding engine. And we're using this bot to collect some information. This is just an example. You don't have to do this, but this is akin to the way that web chat used to work, where you could present a form to a customer and ask them for some information to help the engagement with the bot or with the agent to make it a little bit more personalized. In this particular example, we're just going to escalate right to the agent. So I'm going to, as a customer, ask to speak to an agent and get that over to an agent through from the bot. Now, on the agent side, what we're going to see is a new interaction coming in. And the first thing that you'll notice is that there is no name here. We don't know who this person is. The only information we have about them right now is their email and phone and name that they provided to the bot, which is surfaced through the transcript. You'll also notice that the profile tab here, which appears automatically, has no contact record. So with respect to the concern that came in before, is this going to affect the way that we use external contacts? Are we going to automatically create a contact for every interaction that comes in? The answer is actually yes and no. Yes, because we're creating a contact in the background. which is what we call an ephemeral contact. And that's used for tracking journeys across multiple sessions for the same person from a specific identifier. In this case, it's the web session cookie ID. So if this customer were to disconnect this interaction and come back the next day through the website and start an interaction, it'll reveal the same transcript, but we still won't have an external contact record that's surfaced to the agent because they haven't been what we call promoted to a curated contact. And when they're promoted to a curated contact, in other words, once the agent decides to add this particular person to the external contact record database using the information that they provided in their transcript, for example, or through predictive engagement, if they're identified through predictive engagement on the web. Once that agent successfully creates that contact through the user interface, they then become curated. It is at this point that they would show up in the directory like an external contact was in the past. So the only difference from before to now is that Genesys Cloud is doing some background tracking and creating ephemeral contacts. In other words, like Lucia said, they expire within 60 days if there's no activity, and they don't display in the interface to the agents because they are not promoted or curated as the term is in the documentation. So this is the first part, and the second part is that through identity resolution, we have some information and some historical record of the interactions that those customers had through various channels. So in this example, because they're a net new customer, this is their first time engaging us as a company, we have the fact that they had a web visit here on the web page and the web messaging interaction that we are now live with at this point in time. And this is the beginning of their customer journey with us as a company.
Thanks, Dave. That's awesome. What I want to point out is that all of the new functionality that we're introducing is opt-in from a permission standpoint. What that means is that the journey that Dave just showed becomes available to all Genesys Cloud customers that are using either Genesys Cloud 1, Genesys Cloud 2, or Genesys Cloud 3 license, and the new permissions will become available in your org to use when we release the feature. At the same time, we don't see it as our role to determine whether you want to grant your agents and your employees ability to see that journey. So those permissions, just like with other features, will simply become available in your org to assign to your employees as you deem fit. And similarly, with the profile panel that Dave showed, there was if you noticed before, there was a add to context button. That button is also behind a new permission that also you determine whether or not you want to grant your employees. So we don't opt you into that feature, into those new functionalities, because that's something that you have to decide on your own.
Very cool. Thanks for taking the moment to clear all that up or add that to the conversation, Lucia. What do you think is I know there's a part 2 to this demo. Do we want to go ahead and let Dave get started?
Sure. So the first scenario here is Dean, who's calling in with the messaging in with the general inquiry. And that agent finishes that conversation with the customer, and then now it's complete. So there's a journey that's recorded against a contact record that the agent created based on their conversation with the customer over web messaging. So now the system has a record of their name, their email address, and the web cookie associated with their web messaging interaction on the website. Now, if Dean were to call in to the contact center from any phone number, we don't have a record of his phone number in Genesys Cloud associated with any contact. So when he calls in, it's going to be in an unknown contact. What this feature does, and you'll see in the customer journey that this phone number, this call comes in, there is no history here. There's no customer journey again, because the system has only identified this one call from somebody who's never called us before. Now, one of the things that identity resolution feature set that we're introducing provides is the ability to merge two customer journeys together. So remember, we had the web messaging interaction from Dean through the website, which had the web visit and the web messaging interaction. We saw that customer journey. Now Dean is calling in from his home phone number, but we don't know who Dean is because we don't have his phone number in record. But in speaking to Dean over the phone, me as an agent, I can say, identify that this person's name is Dean, and we'll be able to see that if I search for Dean, his record comes up and it gives me the ability to merge his contact details together. So this phone call or this phone number will be merged into this contact record. And now the mobile number and email address are now one record. What also occurs is that customer journey that we saw on messaging, which was completely independent from the journey that we saw on the phone call, now become one journey together. And this is by virtue, again, of the system taking care of making sure that we're tracking all customer journeys, regardless if they're identified or not, and allowing you to have control over whether or not you want to curate these external contacts. You can think of an analogy like an art gallery. Not all art makes it to an art gallery, and when it's curated, it all comes together in a specific way and in a specific display, right? And so what we're doing is giving you the ability to curate these individual journeys and contacts so that you have one singular view of customers and their journey across all channels they choose to engage you on, so that agents, when they're engaging with customers, have a full view of what happened in the past and can then create a sense of connection and personalize that interaction and empathize with the customer situation more easily.
Yep. And I have also definitely spoken to some of our customers who may be watching about the fact that they want to do the exact opposite of this. They don't want to know who the person is. They don't want to know who they've done. And that's where it comes to the privacy laws. And so customers do have the option to just not use this feature and not use this functionality. At the same time, many of our customers do want to leverage this functionality. So while we account for the privacy regulations, we also want to make sure that our customers who do want to leverage this functionality do have the opportunity to leverage this functionality to provide more personalized service to their customers. So something I want to try is there's the transfer button that Dave, you have, and I know that either one works. So one of the concerns from the community was that all of these automatically generated contacts in the background will start showing up in this transfer dialog when you search. And the answer is they will not. Only the curated ones will. Only the one that you as the customer chose as your contacts will become available. So your address book will remain untouched. All of the auto-generated contacts are only visible in the UIs that Dave showed. So they're only visible in the profile panel, only if the agents have access, and only at the time of the interaction. Admittedly, they are available via API. So what you are able to do is take advantage of leveraging this functionality within architect flows or APIs or other processing systems to orchestrate better personalized experiences. But within the UI, the only change is around the profile panel and the journey panel. You will not see UI changes in other places.
Cool. Thanks for all that, Lucia. I want to, real quick, before we get into questions from the community, check in with our friend Nicole, because she has a really great recap of an event that we did in the community this past June. Nicole, take it away.
Hey everyone, Nicole Milligan here. I just wanted to pop in and give you a sneak peek of the big event we held for our online communities in June. And if you didn't get to participate with us this time, we hope to see you next go round. Enjoy!
What was the Genesys online community doing in June? Summer trivia! Members voted and the Genesys online community hosted its first ever Trivia Tower tournament in June. Trivia gladiators like you picked trivia categories and prizes. So what was up for grabs? Some of the fanciest prizes the community has ever given away. But wait, there's more. We had magical pop-up events with their own prizes. So how did the tournament work? Every Thursday, the Trivia Tower revealed a new series of questions for our fierce competitors. They had 24 hours to get their best answers in and rack up some points. After that, the questions vanished. The trivia topics ran the gamut, from casual topics like 6th grade math to Genesys industry terms. Our players ping-ponged all over the place in the rankings, but who clawed their way to the top of the leaderboard? Sasha Gagalon was the overall Trivia Tower winner. Joel Kraus, Robert Wakefield Carl, and Rasko Radijevec took first place in the special pop-up events. Did you miss out on the fun? Join the Trivia Tower community today, where you'll be in the know about all future events that could have you winning big too.
Thanks for the update, Nicole. And hey, congrats again to the winners. We really appreciate you all playing along. If you have an idea of like a trivia topic or something that you would like to see the next time, drop us a line in the trivia community or on Genesys Casual. We'd love to hear from you. All right, now let's get to some questions related to the single customer view. This question came in from Jeff. And the question that he wrote out had a lot of examples and a lot of details. I'm going to try to cut through it as much as possible. But Jeff had the concern that you've already talked about. We don't really want another source of customer data to talk about governance that we have to manage. We only use external contacts as a phone book directory, where we use 3 organizations to sort contacts by staff, internal and external. The external contacts also acts as our pseudo Outlook address book that we've had to effectively create twice in order to be able to access an email address, because the book contains whatever from within our organization. Therefore, I'm curious as to how automatic contact creation will be impacted, our existing use of external contacts, and if we can determine if/when a record is created so we can control its release and implementation. Don't get me wrong. See this as a great and powerful feature, just don't want it forced on us when we can't really use it, and have the ongoing commitment. And I guess as I was watching all of this, I'll tack on a third question that I think he was getting at. It sounds like he has a couple of different directories. You had the one option for add this person to a directory. Can you specify, I want this one in, our CRM, I want this one in our email address book? Well, what are your all's thoughts on kind of Jeff's question and then what I added on?
Yeah, so thank you all so much for providing these questions. I'm happy to clarify all of that. One of the things that I want to point out is that all of these auto-generated contacts contain all the information that Genesys Cloud already stores. So whenever somebody calls in, what happens is that we do create a conversation to be able to surface this call to the agent. And then we store the data in analytics to make sure that we are able to provide you with the analytics that you need for your contact center. So we're already storing all of the data. The only difference between what's happening now and what will happen when the feature is released is that in the background, there will be a contact created that will contain the phone number if one is available and the name if one is available. And that is data we're already storing in our conversations, and that is data we're already storing in our analytics. So we're not storing any additional data. So from a privacy and security standpoint,
Business
it is
as
not,
usual. Yeah.
We're storing no additional data. And
Cool.
this data, just like conversations data, will just drop off after 60 days. And so governance is not, we take governance extremely seriously. I take governance extremely seriously.
For sure.
This has been very thoroughly vetted with our chief privacy officer and security team, and we are adhering to all of the policies and customer requirements and making sure that no use cases are broken. At the same time, while we try to take as much care as possible, it is possible that we may have missed something. And so we welcome you to join our beta, or we welcome you to reach out to me directly. We can do a demo and we can try and address any concern. And if there's anything we missed, we'll work with you to address.
Cool. And you've already kind of hit on it, but I think we had some people who kind of hopped on a pile here, and they were all talking about something you've already mentioned, which is like, what is the test process on something like that? How do we, go above and beyond to make sure like all the T's are crossed, the I's are dotted, and none of the L's look like J's or whatever. So what do you guys think? Like with this one in particular, did it have a higher degree of testing? Can you talk anything about that?
So I do think it starts with customers. It starts with customer requirements. And I've been working on this feature overall since 2016. And I've talked to many customers, and I have a wonderful memory and I also write things down. So all these address book use cases, fairly common. The use cases where customers wish for their customers to remain anonymous for extremely valid reasons, sometimes legal reasons, compliance reasons. All of these use cases have been taken into account, and that's where I act as a product manager to work with customers and then convey to the rest of the team all of the customer requirements. And then based on those customer requirements that are conveyed to the team, we of course do proper testing to validate that the customer requirements were met. So what I believe is that what happened is I may not have provided all of the information in the community forum to explain that these contacts will not show up in the transfer dialogue and that they will not show up, which I believe may have caused concerns that are extremely valid. I would say it's because I omitted that information, because at the time I did not realize that that would cause concerns. And so I apologize for that lack of communication, but that's why we decided to do the community session and Q&A so that we can make sure we address all of this and so that customers do have access to all that information. And I'll of course be updating it on the community directly as well.
Yeah.
So that's why I felt it was important. And that's why I, after 3 years, decided to take up Matt Lawson on his offer to join the community so that you all can hear me directly to explain exactly what's going on.
Well, and the great thing about this and so many other topics that we've had on the Q&A show is the conversation doesn't have to end here. Lucia, you and I connected years and years ago because you're always on the community. You're a great contributor. I know with this topic in particular, I have full faith if somebody comes in with a question, you'll be able to help them. We'll both be keeping an eye on it. So we hope, yes, like you said, this session is helpful. We hope the information is helpful. And we look forward to keeping the conversation going, and we can, do another episode of this if needed, and Ask Me Anything event, whatever we feel like is appropriate for the customers. So always feel free to write into the community and let us know what you need so that we can make you successful. That's what we're here for.
What I'd like to mention is that this year, we definitely heard our customers very loud and clear, is that sometimes Genesys Cloud releases features and customers don't have the appropriate notice to adjust their training manuals, to make all the proper preparation. And sometimes these features take them by surprise. And the way I think about it is that there's already so much going on in the world that we don't need UI changes to take us by surprise and cause further concerns. So as part of it, I've been working with the leadership team, and the leadership team is very aware of this. We're trying to improve the communication that we give to you all, our customers and partners, around these features that are upcoming. So that's why you will see changes in our resource center where we post future release announcement. You will see changes in the admin UI where we see post-release notes. You will see a link to our future release announcement. That's why I posted on the community to make sure. That's why we're doing the Q&A session. And if there's more that we can do, let us know. I know one customer has asked me that it's important to them that we provide better screenshots around these changes. So I'm working on that.
Cool.
Specifically, the use case was, and the concern was that sometimes Genesys provides a single screenshot for the agent UI, and the screenshot shows email, calls, web chat, web messaging, Facebook. It shows everything all in one screenshot. And while that's great, many of our customers do not leverage all of our features and all of our channels. Sometimes a customer only uses web messaging. Sometimes a customer only uses call, or sometimes the training manual is only for agents using Facebook Messenger. And what I've been asked to do, and I'm working on it, is to provide screenshots based on the individual channels. Because what that allows the customer to do is just take those individual screenshots and compile them as is, rather than them having to do the work individually themselves. That way, Genesys will take ownership and provide screenshots for just calls separately from just web messaging. And then that scales much better, because then what customers can do is just take those screenshots, assemble them in their manual, and they can see exactly what's going on and distribute it.
Gotcha.
And actually, it brings up a good point, Lucia. Maybe we should talk about which channels are supported with the new journey resolution, identity resolution feature that's coming out.
Yep. So you want me to answer? Or will you?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm teeing you up.
Okay, so the initial release does not support all the channels. It will support calls, inbound and outbound. And when I say outbound, I don't mean dialing campaigns. I mean manual outbound on behalf of queue. Email, inbound and outbound, also manual email only, not campaigns. SMS, inbound and outbound, also only on behalf of queue manual, no campaigns. It will cover web messaging, which is our super cool feature that I know Angelo talked about in our previous Q&A session.
Yep.
Which we demonstrated the initial interaction from as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Web chat, and then our social channels. So Facebook Messenger, Twitter direct messaging, Line, WhatsApp.
Cool. One question I had is, in the community, one of the things that came out is the beta headquarters community, which is great for anybody who's on Genesys Cloud and wants to be aware of what betas are currently recruiting, finishing up. We try to do announcements in there as well as invitations. Lucia, one of the things you mentioned is that this feature is still currently in beta. If somebody is interested in joining late, is it still worth their time to head over to that beta community and join, or should they just wait for the general release?
I think it's extremely beneficial for customers to have their hands on it, because sometimes what I find, and I know for me personally, that's how it works. And I think it works that way with many people, that if somebody explains it to you, that's different than you being able to just try it yourself.
Yes.
And so getting your hands on it, if there's an opportunity to do that, I would encourage everybody to take advantage of it. I do have a confession to make. I have not yet posted on the beta community.
Hey everyone, real quick update. The single customer view beta that Lucy's talking about is now available for registration. Head on over to community.genesys.com and visit the Beta HQ community. Look for the single customer view beta and click the panel. It will pop up an email so you can easily message Lucy and let her know that you are interested. Now back to the show.
I don't think I have anything else. Guys, this was a really great session. Thank you again so much for coming by. Lucia, let's try not to make this a 3-year thing. Maybe you can come on a little bit before, 2025 or whenever that would be. And Dave, great job with the demo. I'd love to have you back as well.
Well, thank you so much for having us. And thank you so much for Dave for entertaining my offer to have you join our Q&A community. And it didn't even take you 3 years. So you're much faster.
That's right. I got asked that a week ago, right?
Yeah. Boy, were you ready. Boy, were you ready.
I asked and Dave delivered.
Cool.
Versus Matt, it took me 3 years. So sometimes it takes me a while.
Cool. Well, no hard feelings on my end.
Thanks for inviting me.
It's been an absolute pleasure, guys. And can't wait to talk to you in the future. All right, that concludes this month's episode. Thank you all for stopping by. Real quick reminder, if you liked the trivia event, we'd love to hear from you. Join that community. Let us know what you would like to see the next time we do a tournament like that. Or if you have an idea for a pop-up, we're always open to hear what that might be. Also, don't forget, the beta is going on, and we are interested in the possibility of doing a bug hunt. If that's something that would interest you, and you might want a prize from the prize wall, yes, drop us a line. We'd love to hear that you're interested so that we can push an initiative like that forward. That's it for me. If you want to talk before the next episode, I'm always in the community, and I hope to see you next time.
Thanks for tuning in for this week's episode. We hope it was helpful and maybe a little bit entertaining. Each week, our host and experts review community discussions and debate what content to discuss, so your voice matters. Did we miss something? Do you have a question for the show? Let us know. Join the conversation at the Genesys online community. As a Genesys customer or partner, you can create an account. Just click the sign in button found on most pages and follow the necessary instructions to create an account. Also, feel free to email us at qashow@genesys.com. We'd love to hear from you. If this is your first episode, welcome. You can view our entire archives. Go to the helpful links panel found on most community pages and find the QA Show archive that interests you.
Also, check out the community's prize wall for current contests and previous winners.
We appreciate your support of the show and the community. Cheers!